Well, hello there. How are you today? Welcome to my channel, Musicalina, where we discuss all things music. And today I'm very excited to talk about my top 5 favorite singers. First up on my list is Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday was born Eleanor Fagan on April 7th, 1915 in Philadelphia and died on July 17th, 1959 in New York City. Billie Holiday had a pretty rough start in life. She was basically an orphan, raised on and off by family members. She was a child prostitute, and she battled drugs and alcohol all of her life, succumbing to cirrhosis at the age of 44. She began singing as a teenager in nightclubs in Harlem. She took the stage name Billie Holiday and eventually gained some success with a song called What a Little Moonlight Can Do. She worked with Count Basie and Artie Shaw, becoming the first Black woman to be employed along with an all-white orchestra. In 1973, there was a film made about her life called Lady Sings the Blues, starring Diana Ross. Billie Holiday's voice is truly a wondrous instrument. It is full of pain and longing. It is so remarkable what she could do. She did a lot of improv, and the way she would manipulate her voice to kind of fit the music was incredibly unique. My favorite Billie Holiday songs are Some Other Spring, Don't Explain, All or Nothing, and of course, You've Changed. The first time I heard You've Changed, it burrowed into my soul. Do you remember that Seinfeld episode where that guy hears that song Desperado and he stops whatever he's doing and he just becomes mesmerized? That's how I feel whenever I hear You've Changed. I have to stop and I'm like, oh my God, it's this song. Next up is Robert Smith of The Cure. I have to say this choice kind of surprised me. Some of the ones that I have on here are pretty obvious, they just came to me right away, but Robert Smith kind of crept up on me the more I thought about it. I was thinking about singers who soothe me, whose voices I recognize right away, who immediately, when I hear, put me in a better mood, and that is definitely Robert Smith for me. Robert Smith was born April 21st, 1959 in the UK and co-founded The Cure in 1976. What? What? They've been around that long? Holy shit. The Cure have 13 studio albums and 5 live albums. They were quite popular on MTV and VH1 in the 80s and the 90s. They are part of our culture. I feel like everybody knows who The Cure is. Tim Burton tried to get Robert Smith to work with him musically on Edward Scissorhands, but I think Robert Smith had said that they were too busy or something. Boy, that would have been really, really interesting. Robert Smith did go on to work with Tim Burton on, I think there's a Frankenweenie sequel that he helped work on. Robert has 2 older siblings, Richard and Margaret, who he credits for exposing him early on to bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, who were big inspirations for him. And apparently his first rock concert was Jimi Hendrix at the Isle of Wight Festival. How cool is that? The Cure were put into the goth box pretty early on, but they were never really comfortable being labeled that. I know that the Cure song Burn, which was featured in that gothy legend movie that came out really wrong. I'm so sorry. The movie The Crow, which is also kind of considered a goth movie, although I never really understood that. But anyway, that song Burn, by the way, has a bass line that I will never get out of my head. It is always in my head, and it will be in my head until the day I die. I don't know why. I mean, I do enjoy the song, but for some reason that bass line it's just always stuck in my head. So my favorite works by The Cure, the entire Disintegration album. That is my favorite Cure album. That is a perfect album. You cannot improve upon that album. Also songs like The Edge of the Deep Green Sea, which is one of my favorite Cure songs, if not my favorite Cure song. I don't know. I kind of bounce back and forth, but I really love that song. I just love that song so much. Also, the song Why Can't I Be You, I think really showcases the cheeky side of the band. It's quite cheeky. I can do a British accent, just not right now. Of course, I also love Just Like Heaven. I feel like everybody loves that song. How do you not love that song? How do you have a soul and not love that song? And as far as Friday I'm in Love, I liked it the first time I heard it, and then the more I heard it, the more annoying it got. So I'm not a huge fan of that one. But I am a huge fan of just about everything else that The Cure has done. And I love Robert Smith's voice. When I hear that voice, I know it's him right away. Next up is Jeanette Napoleono of Concrete Blonde. Jeanette was born September 22nd, 1957 in LA, and Concrete Blonde was formed in 1982. The band found success with the album Bloodletting, the single Bloodletting, as well as the song Joey were big hits off that album. Jeanette also has some solo work as well. I have listened to some of it. It's very poetic, and it's mostly acoustic, or it's pretty minimal. That's a good word to describe it. It's not a big bombastic sound the way that Concrete Blonde is. Jeanette's voice is distinct and extremely powerful, earth-moving. I would suggest you seek out the acoustic version of Joey. I know it's on YouTube. I do like the original version, but the acoustic version has so much power to it, and it is so incredibly beautiful and so moving. God, her voice just shoots right through you. It's just one of those voices, you know? Moving along to Ann Wilson of Heart. Ann Wilson was born June 19th, 1950 in San Diego, California, and she and her sister Nancy have been in Heart since the early 70s. Again, wow. Ann Wilson is my favorite female vocalist. She is one of the greatest vocalists of all time, as far as I'm concerned. My personal favorite works by her, just in terms of her singing, there's a song on Bad Animals, the Bad Animals album. Very underrated album, by the way. It came out in, I want to say 89 or 90, so like right on the cusp of like where hair metal was kind of dying. I don't consider that to be like a hair metal album at all. It's just a really good album. Anyway, there's a song off that album called Wait for an Answer, where her voice, it picks up the mountain and like throws it. It's so huge, and it's just so incredible. I also love a song off Jupiter's Darling, that album, called No Other Love, and I love the song If Looks Could Kill. But honestly, Ann Wilson's voice is unshakable. It is flawless in every song. I mentioned this in my last video that Heart performed the song Stairway to Heaven in 2012 at the Kennedy Center. I neglected to mention that the 3 living members of Led Zeppelin were in attendance, and apparently Robert Plant was moved to tears, as he should have been. Like I said in my last video, if you haven't heard that version of Stairway, definitely acquaint yourself right away. And my all-time favorite singer, Freddie Mercury of Queen. Freddie Mercury was born September 5th, 1946 in Zanzibar and died November 24th, 1991 in England. Freddie designed what's called the Queen's Crest, which is the band's logo. It's a combination of all 4 of the band members' zodiac signs. That's pretty cool. So I found a quote from a Spanish soprano named, I'm going to screw this up, I apologize, Montserrat Caballé, who recorded with Freddie Mercury, and this is how she described his singing. His technique is astonishing. No problem of tempo, he sang with an incisive sense of rhythm. His vocal placement was very good, and he was able to glide effortlessly from a register to another. He also had a great musicality. His phrasing was subtle, delicate, and sweet, or energetic and slamming. He was able to find the right coloring or expressive nuance for each word. That sums up the strength of Freddie Mercury, I think, perfectly. There's like nothing more to be said after that, right? He is by a mile the greatest rock singer in history, and I think has one of the greatest voices ever to be put on this planet. He could sing anything, he could sing any style, he mastered everything he sang. He was an incredible frontman, and of course Queen is Queen, right? Absolutely legendary. They just don't get better than Freddie Mercury. I don't think there will ever be anyone who even comes close to Freddie Mercury. So that is it. That is my list. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and I will see you very soon. Take care of yourselves.